What's up, NBA fans? Welcome to another episode of the Fastbreak Podcast. I am Brandon Brown, joined as always by Ben Stinar. And Ben, as we are recording this on May 14th, I'm not exactly sure when this will go live, but the Cleveland Cavaliers, done. Number one seed in the East. I mean, locked up playoff positioning months ago and kind of ran away with the East. There wasn't really anybody even close to them when it came to overall record and seeding and stuff like that. And they are bounced in 5 by the Indiana Pacers. And, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people kind of wondered, like, okay, they've got this great record. They've got Donovan Mitchell. He can go off for a 40 ball any night. They've got these two bigs that are playing out of their minds. But everybody kind of wondered if they were for real. Like, that was a conversation throughout most of the year. I guess they weren't. I guess let's just start there. Thoughts on how they do so well during the regular season and pretty much get dominated in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, the way you said that, Brandon, was funny. I guess they weren't.
They weren't.
They weren't, yeah. No, I mean, okay, I can give them the injury bug with Garland and the toe, and Mobley missed a game and Hunter missed a game. But, like, I don't want to give it to them at the same time because clearly they were good enough to play in some of the games, and you still had Donovan Mitchell, and you still had this loaded roster that shouldn't have been down 3-1, right? Maybe I say if you lost in 6 or if you lost in a hard-fought game 6 in Indiana, I'm like, okay, maybe if Garland didn't miss 3 games, I'll give you that, right? Or it goes to 7 and they lose a heartbreaker at home, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, but if you're going to lose in 5, I don't feel bad for the injury bug. I think that's just you guys just should have been better, right? Like, they lost game 1. I mean, I know Garland didn't play, and I know that is so big to them. But the reason why we were all so high on the Cavs is because they didn't have to rely on just Garland or just Mitchell. They had 3 All-Stars. They had Jared Allen wasn't an All-Star. So I think this was more of I don't know. Maybe it's just I then want to go back to the injuries again. I don't know. It's really a head scratcher with them what happened here. But it's just because you had Donovan Mitchell go for 50 and one of the 48 or whatever it was. And that still wasn't enough. So it's just like maybe if they had a fully healthy squad, they win in 7 or something like that. But clearly they just weren't the better team. And like you said, they just weren't for real.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you. I think if you give them a healthy Darius Garland, I still don't know if they win the series. Not the way those games win. I just don't think you put him back in that lineup and it changes it that much. Now I know Donovan Mitchell can move over and play the 1. That's not his most natural position, but losing a point guard is big. I mean, that's especially in a 7-game series. Kind of maintain the offense, keep things going, play your normal brand of basketball. Gets you out of sorts a little bit when you take that away. But again, the way they lost, like you said, in 5 games, losing several at home. When you were that good during the regular season, something just doesn't quite add up. So I guess
they lost all 3 at home, right? I think they lost all 3 at home.
I think you're right, actually, now that I'm thinking back at how it went. They started off 0-2, losing both of the first home games.
They lost all 3 at home, yeah.
That's just a wild way for that to develop, especially when you have the other game that they won by damn near 50 points or whatever it was. Just a kind of a weird 5 games, but now they're taking inventory a little bit. So now what is that? Because like you said, they've got 3 All-Stars. They've got some pretty high payroll guys on the team. I don't really know if you want to blow it up. Obviously, what they did during the regular season, I think they won, 64, 65 games, something like that. What's the next move? I mean, do you try to run it back? I mean, do you start to shake the roster up a little bit? Like, what are people in Cleveland thinking right now about their team?
Yeah, I think 2 things. I think one, I think you should run it back because they're Cleveland. They're not the Lakers, they're not the Heat, they're not the, whoever, the drill with that stuff. And I think that they've got such a good roster of guys who clearly do want to be there at this point. And it seems so easy to just like click a button and be like, all right, let's move on. But if you're the Cavaliers and you're a solid contender every year, I mean, that is a good place to be. And maybe the ball bounces your way and you make the finals again, right? So I think there's no reason to break it up whatsoever. Maybe you make a small move here and there, but I'm starting to wonder if the DeAndre Hunter trade actually messed them up. They had Karis LeVert and they had I don't know how to say his first name, but Niang. They had Niang.
Yeah.
And
the G-Wagon.
I always say that. I call it the minivan or the G-Wagon. I always forget his first name though. So Niang and LeVert were good for that team, and we always forget it's not 2K, right? So it's like those were 2 guys that were in the locker room with them, and it's like you lost those 2 guys. I'm like, maybe they were friends with people, maybe they were good chemistry guys. Niang seems like a great chemistry guy.
Yes.
And then you go and you add Hunter, who's good, but I'll tell you this firsthand experience, knowing Atlanta Hawks and actually covering the team 5 years ago. Hunter's a quiet guy, very quiet guy, very, very. I think Kawhi, right? Very quiet, like. You don't hear much from him. I don't know how he's with his teammates and behind the scenes, but I just mean like if you're around DeAndre Hunter, he's a quiet guy. And I just wonder was that trade so great? I like Hunter the player, but you're talking about two guys that helped the Cavs get to a really good place, and then you traded them. And I don't know if that was the smartest move either. So I think you just keep the course and stay where it is. I don't know what else you can do here other than say, like, who are you going to trade for, right? Like, what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do? Other than just maybe Donovan Mitchell needs to, find a way to take that next step as maybe more of a facilitator, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you could trade Garland. Maybe you could trade Garland to get something though.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, how much could you really upgrade at any of those spots? I mean, you got 4 or 5 starters who would probably start on every other team in the NBA. Like, where do you really go without really upsetting the apple cart a little bit?
And a great coach too. I mean, there's not a lot they can do other than they just weren't as good. But it's like, where do you're not the Lakers, you're not the whoever, and it's like you got a good team of guys that want to be there. I don't know how much you should touch it.
Yeah, smaller market. Yeah, they're not reeling in the biggest fish in the free agency market more than likely. And
remember the Pacers with Paul George? We look at that as a good run, right? Like it's not maybe what fans of the Cavs would want to hear, but you look at that as a good run. Roy Hibbert, Paul George, that kind of George Hill run. Remember that? Lance Stevenson. That was a great run that just wasn't quite good enough, right? But that's probably their ceiling of what they could have done. Now, maybe Mitchell ascends into that superstar. I'd like him to see get there. But as of now, is it really that bad? The Cavs are in the top 8 every year?
Right. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, you could do a lot worse. I was just kind of looking over the roster as you were talking about that, and forgive me for not being super up to date on the contract situation for each one of these guys, but you're hitting it on the head, man. When you talk about the guys that they have coming in that want to be in Cleveland, a guy like Max Strus, a guy like Ty Jerome, a guy like Dean Wade. I mean, these guys that played big minutes in the playoffs and made a lot of big plays for that team and seem to really like being in Cleveland. And they're not marquee guys that are going to go run the show in Miami, in Los Angeles, in Dallas, wherever some of these bigger markets are. So I'm kind of with you. I think you run it back. I mean, like I said, you ran away with the East during the regular season, and for whatever reason, it just didn't click together in the playoffs. And the DeAndre Hunter thing is interesting because I like him too. I know he was, again, for my own personal interest, like he was mentioned as a guy that maybe the Pistons should take a little run at. I'm like, that guy, he can do a lot, man. He's a versatile player. He can shoot it from the outside. I think Karis LeVert and him are pretty similar. It's kind of a weird trade a little bit when you talk about that and getting rid of Niang as well.
And
so
I feel like LeVert can actually make his own shot better, right? Like Hunter has the perfect
a little more off the dribble.
Body, and it kind of distracts. Like he has that Paul George Kawhi body that is so 6'9", athletic, right?
Yeah.
And it almost deceives you to think he's better than he is, right? I'm not saying he's bad at all, but it deceives you to think he's better than he is. And I wonder, because LeVert is a guy you can put the ball in his hands and he can actually make something happen very quickly, right?
He can play the point guard if you need him to play the point.
So it's like you lost that, and then Niang can kind of give you a little bit, not to this degree, but he can give you a little bit of what Hunter gives you.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't like that trade. I know it's 2020 hindsight, but I don't love that trade.
Yeah, and you mentioned Niang being like kind of a glue guy too. I mean, he's diving on the floor. He's an energy guy. He'll get hyped up, and that's not what Hunter's all about. All right, last but not least, we'll finish with this. Outlook for next year. Let's say they do run it back. The roster is pretty much the same, and it's a great roster. We just talked about it. 4 of the 5 starters are starting caliber guys on any team in the NBA, just about, with Garland, Mitchell, Jarrett Allen, and Evan Mobley. Does it look the same next year? I mean, they win 55, 60 plus games, and then you get into the playoffs and hope it just doesn't happen the way it happened this season?
There's no reason why there shouldn't be a top 4 seed. I wonder if there's going to be a little less motivation in the regular season because of what happened, right? It's like, well, what the heck are we doing trying to win 64 games when, if we win 55, maybe we go further in the finals. I don't play. Yeah. But with Giannis, I don't think he'll actually, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Giannis. But with the potential of the Bucks being a mess, at least even with Giannis, aren't going to be great probably, right? So the Knicks are going to go on this long run, maybe even to the finals potentially.
Playing well.
So they might come back tired. The Pacers have now gone deep into the playoffs twice. Something might give for the Cavs too if they just run the course, right? You see what I'm saying? It's like the Celtics are going to deal with injuries next year, right? They might make a big trade. The Pacers are about to go on their second long playoff run. At some point, that add some miles and stuff, and you just if they lose early again, that might be devastating. I just feel like the way we're talking to you out loud is like with the Pistons too. Your Pistons, like something might break for the Pistons or Cavs.
I was just gonna say what I hear is the door being kicked open for the Pistons with Devin Booker to be a number 2 or number 3 seed. So that's right. We'll leave with this. I'm putting you right on the spot. Who God, this is such a stupid question as we're sitting here in mid-May and the playoffs are still going. Who's the number 1 seed in the East next year, Ben?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, it's not going to be Boston. I don't think it's going to be the Cavs again. I just don't think they're going to want to do that.
That's what I was getting at. Do you think they do the same kind of thing?
It could be the Knicks if depending on how this season goes, right? Depending on if they come back really hungry, or they could be like totally finals drained. Sure. But it could be like really hungry, and then it could really. I'm not saying this because you really brought it up. Maybe the Pistons are that like next. Maybe you don't want to hear this, but maybe they're that like Cavs team where then they blow everyone away in the regular season. You're like, whoa, and they lose in the second round or first round. Yeah. But it's like they're going to come with that energy in the regular season in kind of a watered down, injury riddled Eastern Conference.
The East is that way.
Come in with that like we're just going to try and win every game. Like,
yeah, it's the East. The East is tough, and now you got a Tatumless Celtics. The Knicks, the roster. I don't know. Again, I'm not as well versed on the contract situations of each team as I should be. So you never, guys are on the move. I know you're probably more plugged in with the free agent market and who could be on the move. And then
if the Hawks could just get one more offensive star next to Trey,
I
think they could be a top 4 seed. I don't think they're going to make the finals or anything, but I think that they could be one of those 55 win if they got Trey just like I know it's easier said than done, but like a Karl Anthony Towns, or if they got Trey one of those just big forwards, it would be a very dangerous regular season team.
Yeah, and like you said, it's the summer of Giannis, so to speak. What he does is going to make a big difference in the East as well. Ben, great stuff as always, man. Thanks everybody out there for listening, and we will talk to you guys soon.